Alright, hey everybody, welcome back. Hope you had a good Christmas holiday there. Um, I am going to set the course up online so that we can work from home. First thing I want you to do is I'm going to share this file with you. If you have a Windows PC at home, if you have a Mac, we'll figure something else out. I can maybe help you individually with your issues getting C++ on Mac, or find a good video online to do that with. So I've got this file here. I'm going to send you this link. I'll post it in this YouTube video so that you can download it if you don't have it at home already. Okay. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to download it by right-clicking on it. It's 200 megabytes, not too big, shouldn't take too long to download. And then you're going to save it. And hit OK. And I would save it just onto the desktop of your computer. Right here is a fine place for it. I've already saved it, so I don't need to worry about that. It took a couple minutes to download. Once you have that file here, you're going to right-click it and hit Extract All. Because it's zipped up, it's made smaller, so it's easier to download. It's compressed. You want to extract it back into regular uncompressed folder. So I've already done that too. That actually takes like 10 minutes because it is a fairly big folder. But there it is. It is now on my computer. I have dev. I have code blocks. If I hit CB launcher, let's see what happens. About a second. So while this loads, I will be setting up more Google stuff online, some more assignments and things. There it goes. So I can start a new project. Again, it's just console application for now. Hit next. Mine defaults to save to this, and yours probably will say this exact thing too, but that's because I copied my version to you. You're going to want to actually pick a better spot. Find a good spot on your computer to save your stuff. Okay? I made a little C++ folder on my desktop, and that's where I save things. So I make a project called Lab 10. There it is. It's all set up for me to go. And it should run. If you have any issues, let me know. I'll be on Google Meet. My son's home with me, so I gotta help him with school and stuff too during the day, but he's only here this week, so I'll have my computer on every day, maybe at the top of every hour. Like if you need something, just check on Google Meet and I can help you out. I'm gonna start assigning things as we go. The first thing I'll assign, let's just check what lab we're on and everything. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so I just did that. I went ahead and added Intro to Graphics Labs for both classes. Let me just pop this open here for the 3D one and have a look at it. I will I'll show you how to get set up with a graphics project right now since we're here. So I'm going to go File, New Project. Again, you can also code with this website. It's called cpp.sh. The only problem is, so you can put any C++ code you want in here and run it, and it will basically run it web-based. It's fine. It'll output stuff and do all of its things like it normally would. This code's a little bit strange, but you can replace it with kind of the standard code we use in this class. The problem is when we go to use graphics, so I am going to hit this project called SFML project right here, okay? What this SFML project does before I click that is C++ does not include any of its own code for graphics, for sound, for mouse and keyboard control, or Windows or anything like that. And the reason it doesn't do that is because the commands that Windows uses to move the mouse and keyboard are completely different than what they would be for an Apple computer or an iOS or Android or even Linux. So C++ wants to keep kind of like a pared down coding language. It doesn't want to add like 5 or 6 different sets of code for mouse controls. One that works for Windows, one that works for Linux. So because C++ is library based, there's lots of people that make their own libraries that work for Windows or work for Linux or work for Mac or work for all three. This is a library that is built. We'll just use the include command to make it work. It's called the Simple and Fast Multimedia Library. A great library that allows us to use graphics, mouse, keyboard, basically make 2D games. It's a 2D graphics library. There's no 3D math or anything like that in it. Got a great website, huge community that supports it. So we're going to learn that. Lots of people use it. Lots of games were made in it. Games that you've probably heard of before were made using this little library with all of its little commands that will allow us to do graphics. So we'll get more into it as we go along, but what you want to do to make some graphics is click on Create SFML Project, hit go, give it a name, I'll call this Lab 11, sure, that'll work for me, and hit Finish. I'm going to close up my Lab 10 that I just made. That was just to test to see if it worked anyways. Lab 11 now has some, this is like the Hello World version of a graphics program. So we'll go through it quickly here. And the other thing that's been done to make all of this work is when you actually clicked on that project, it includes SFML in this graphics file, which is great. But I've also added all these build options in here that allow it or tell it where this library was saved. Okay, so that's all been done for you. You don't have to do any of this kind of linking or setting up where to look for all the SFML stuff, because if you go to your dev folder here, you should see this SFML folder. It already is included in your dev folder, which is great, and it's got all the include files that you'll need, and it's all been set up for you. Very nice. Done by me. Okay, so let's just go through these lines of code really quickly. Let's run it first and see what it does. It makes a green. First of all, we still have our console window, which is nice for debugging purposes. We don't want to lose that because we want to be able to see out stuff in there and see in stuff as we work with graphics. But it also makes a nice little window for us. Looks to be about 800 by 600. And it's got a green circle in it that looks like it's got a radius of about 100 pixels, and that it's kind of right in the top left corner. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to shrink this down or put this over here and just look at the code quickly. It looks like the first line of code creates a variable type called render window. That should auto type for me. Render window. I'm getting a lot of auto types now for SFML code. It's just a variable type that I've named window, and it's a little bit more than a variable. It's actually an object, and it looks like I have created a window on the screen that's 800 by 600. Great. Then I went and took my window, much like I would take a string. You know, if I had a string called letter and hit dot size, that would spit out the size, right? I've taken my window variable and I've set a frame rate limit to 60. We don't really need to do that or want to do that right now maybe, but it's good to have the program basically updating itself 60 times a second. Then I made another variable, but this one is called circle shape. There's a bunch of different shapes you can draw. There's one called rectangle shape. There's one called convex shape, I believe. A bunch of other ones. Right now we're just drawing a circle, and we're giving it the name shape. So anything we want to do to shape now, let's say I type shape. If I hit dot, I can see all the commands I can do to it. I can change its color. I can rotate it, change its radius, change how it's scaled on the screen. I can even move it. I can do lots of stuff to it. Follow through the lab and you'll see it'll ask you some basic questions there. So I have set the radius to 200, which is good. I have set the color to green. There's lots of different colors you can choose. If you hit the word color and hit colon, there's a bunch of loaded ones in there: blue, black, cyan, green, magenta, yellow, white. I can even change it to magenta here. You can set it to any color you want too with RGB values. Right now my program won't run because it's all open still, so I'm just going to close it, hit run, and this should make it a magenta circle, that purpley color there. Yeah, purpley pink. Cool. Okay, if you hit escape it'll close actually, which is nice, because the rest of my code is all going to go in this while loop. Remember, while loops run forever unless this condition, as long as this condition is met. What this condition is checking is if the window is open and if the escape key isn't being pressed. We'll learn more about keyboard stuff later, but I just put it in there so that I can quickly, when I run it, I can just hit escape and close my program nicely. The next line of code is a variable called event, and I've named it little event, and there's another little while loop in here, and this while loop will check if you're touching any buttons on your keyboard or mouse or anything like that. And it'll also check if you close your window. So if I close my window here, it checks and then quits my while loop. If I comment out this code and I go to close my window, did I miss a bracket somewhere? Oh, I just have this if statement here that I don't need either. So if I close my window now, it doesn't close my program. It crashes. Look. So that. And then here are the main lines of code. I've got window.clear, which means I'm going to erase my window every time I go through the loop. Then I'm going to draw my shape, and then I'm going to display it on the monitor. These three lines are important in this order. I want to clear my window, draw all my shapes, and then display it on the monitor. If I don't do this, I can get a lot of blinking and weird events happening, because what I need to do is 60 times a second I need to erase my window, and I need to draw everything I have into the memory of the video card, and then I need to display it all at once. If I don't display it all at once, it'll draw everything as it comes along in the loop, and if it draws everything out of sync, it will do weird things. So that's where this window.display comes in. Learn more about it as well as we go along. So again, when I run it, I have just my pink shape there. It's fine, doesn't do much, but I can start adding code in this loop here to make my shape move or something. Let's say I go shape dot move, and you'll see that there's two options for dot move. There's one that takes in this vector 2f. We haven't learned about that. It's just a 2D number. But if I press the down arrow here, you can see that there is a move command that takes two float variables. So I'm going to hit 5 and 0 for x and y, and this should move my my ball to the right. Right, that way. That way. Whoa, there it goes. Cool. Okay. So that's a little bit of a startup on graphics. Check it out today if you can. Leave a comment in the video that you watched it so that I know you did something today and I can mark you here for attendance. We'll talk tomorrow.